The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has rejected Hamas's truce proposal. He says the group's terms are bizarre and the negotiations are not going anywhere. He's also declared that there is no other solution except for a complete and final victory for Israel. Listen to this first.
This evening I want to tell you one thing. We are on the path of total victory. Victory is within reach. It's not a matter of years or decades. It's a matter of months. And I would like to emphasize again that there is no solution other than total victory. Only a total victory will allow us to restore security in Israel, both in the north and in the south.
Now, this is not what Israel's best friend, the US, wants to actually listen. The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has been making multiple trips, talking to mediators and desperately trying to cut out a deal, but it does not seem to be working. Enter the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. Instead of focusing on his own war with Ukraine, Putin is actually trying to meddle in West Asian affairs. He is trying to get Israeli hostages freed. That's right. In fact, on Wednesday, he sat down with two leaders of Russian Jewish community. One was the president of the Federation of Jewish Communities, Alexander Boroda. The other was the chief rabbi, Beryl Lazar. And after those talks, Putin stressed that Moscow is in contact with the political wing of Hamas. He also said that Russia has been doing everything to help people who became hostages and that it has made some progress. Now, what does all of this mean? What happens if Putin manages to strike a deal? Well, it will be a royal embarrassment for the United States. You see, mediators from the US, Qatar and Egypt are actively working to broker a ceasefire. Antony Blinken is probably the hardest working diplomat in the world right now. He just finished a grueling tour to West Asia. He was in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, Israel. He held several high-profile meetings, spoke to various ministers and diplomats. But what did he accomplish is the question. Well, nothing different from his last 4 visits. The US has been trying to save face. President Biden says Hamas's counter-proposal was a good sign. Blinken has also expressed hope for further negotiations. He has more meetings planned. But what is the use really? Where is the result? Moscow has not missed the opportunity to poke fun of the US. It claims that the war in West Asia is a reflection of America's failures in the region. And now Russia is willing to jump in as the savior. But what happens if President Putin actually manages to broker peace? Will he emerge as the winner in the Gaza war? Ever since the war in Ukraine started, Russia has drawn closer to Israel's arch-nemesis Iran. It has, in fact, emphasized its support for Palestine statehood and also criticized Israeli military action in Gaza. As if Moscow is not waging a war itself, but now it wants to play a peacemaker. How does Prime Minister Netanyahu feel about this? Will he be okay with Russia poking its nose in Israel's business? Well, what other options does Netanyahu have? All the other mediators seem to be failing him. Netanyahu is running out of time because people in Israel are running out of patience. They are urging Netanyahu to bring their loved ones home. And this is what they are saying.
If the hostages are not returned, every person, mother and father will know that they can be next, that their life is in their hands, that they live in a country that does not take responsibility for their security, and that they should worry about their security on their own.
Again, I address you, Mr. Netanyahu. It is all in your hands. You are the one who can. I am very afraid that if you continue on this path to dismantle Hamas, there will be no more hostages to release.
This is the sentiment in Israel, but a hostage deal is nowhere in sight. If anything, Israel is intensifying its attacks. The Israeli forces bombed areas in Rafah, where more than half of Gaza's population is taking shelter. And amid these circumstances, will President Putin be the savior? We will have to wait and watch. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.